sucker.
I disagree with you there, but we haven't talked about that really yet, Booker. They officially announced the first inductee of the class of 2022, The
Yeah.
Undertaker. The
Mhm.
Undertaker will be going into the Hall of Fame the night after SmackDown. I think it's right after SmackDown. They do the Hall of Fame ceremony. The Undertaker is headlining, and some have said he should be the only inductee this year. But just what do you think about Taker going in? It's a no-brainer, but what do you
Oh,
think
man.
about it?
Oh, it's a no-brainer. Taker taking his spot inside the Hall of Fame, being immortalized, um, like he should be. Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing the Undertaker take the podium and tell a few stories about this journey that he's gone on. More than anything, because he's seen a lot. As far as the business goes, he's seen it totally change. And the thing is, not just watched it change; he was a part of the change. So yeah, he's like like in the movie where the guy say, he has a story to tell. You know what I mean? Give this man a gold piece and send him home. Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what we had with the Undertaker. You know what I mean? Let him tell his story. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I think that when you look at, say, no one who was in the Hall of Fame right now, there were no inductees, and they say, name 3 guys who need to go in the Hall of Fame today to a random person. Undertaker's going to be one of the first 3 names to come out of their mouth, right? Might be Hogan, might be Flair, and then the Undertaker. I think you can make a case that the Undertaker is the greatest wrestler of all time. I think that's a case you could make. Who's had a longer run on top in more important matches than the Undertaker? You can make that argument. He's the greatest to ever do it.
I would say greatest character of all time.
He's definitely the greatest character. I think that you're right on that.
That's what I would say. I would say the Undertaker has been the greatest character there's ever that we've ever had in the wrestling business, as well as leader. He's been an awesome leader for the boys in the back for so many years. I know things have changed now, and I know he's not in that locker room now, but for so many years, Undertaker was the the rock that we went to, as far as, hey, this is how we need to do it from a strategy position, and this is how we need to go out and get it done. And then after, we're going to party all night long. It was one of those type of deals, you know what I mean? So he was definitely a great leader.
I think that the Undertaker, just even staying in gimmick, right, for all those years. You always heard him. He never broke character. You never saw him do an interview until he was the American Badass. I don't think he was ever on television out of character. And the American Badass was essentially, the real guy, from what I hear, from what I understand. I haven't ever sat and broke bread with the Undertaker. I've met him, I think, one time, maybe twice. But going to the other side of this, should he be the only inductee this year in the Hall of Fame?
I've heard, I think Bully Ray said something like that.
Yeah.
That Taker should be the only one going in. I think somebody else said something about that as well. The Undertaker, I think it was Ken Anderson, said the Undertaker should be the only one that should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And my thing is, that's going to be a short night or a long night, one or two. No, I'm serious, you know what I mean? Because the only way I see that happening is a bunch of guys coming up there to tell a bunch of stories, to put themselves over where they was when the Undertaker, when this happened with, me and the Undertaker, we did. I don't want to hear those type of stories, me personally. Now, can the Undertaker come up and entertain us for 2 hours? Get the TV out of it and whatnot, I don't think the Undertaker actually would want to do something like that. Come up and tell stories all night. That's the one thing about the Hall of Fame ceremony for me has always been, when these guys finally get that moment, damn it, they go up there and they don't want to leave. They want to stay up there all night. They want to talk about stories. They want to tell this. I'm like, good God. But
Hillbilly Jim. Sorry, I had something in my
exactly,
throat.
exactly my point.
Something
Like,
was
bro, we ready to go to sleep here. You know what I mean? So I'm sure the Undertaker is going to want to come out, say what he has to say, and he's going to want to get the hell up out of there. And I think we're going to need more people to actually have a show other than just the Undertaker. Having the Undertaker be the main event, as he should, as he's always been, I think is only fitting for the Undertaker. But I think even the Undertaker need an opening act.
Yeah. I don't think that he should be the only one. Now, I've always been a proponent of keep the Hall of Fame classes smaller.
Yeah,
I don't think there needs to be 8, 9 people who go in every year, but I do think it needs to be more than one. Like it's not a class if it's only one. I
yeah,
think there's only been one year that only one guy was inducted, and that was I think '93 when they inducted Andre the Giant. I believe that was '93, and he was the only one inducted, and we that was it. I don't think there was even a ceremony back then.
yeah,
But there
exactly.
needs to be more than one person, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. I think so as well. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but that's just what I think. And me
Yeah.
personally, like I say, I think if I was the Undertaker, I'd be like, man, I need somebody to warm me up. I need somebody to go out there and get the crowd ready for me. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So, yeah, yeah.
Roland Curtis says that Bret Hart said Undertaker was a top 10 actual wrestler.
You know what? That's a true statement as well. And Undertaker knew exactly the ins and out, do's and don'ts of, you know, I mean, he could do a drop kick. He could do an arm drag. You know what I mean? He could do a leapfrog and a hip toss. Not that he, had to do it in the ring ever, but he could keep up with anybody who could do any of those things. So Undertaker was a real worker. I mean, he was a real, artist of student of the game. Really, truly, and he came from that school, though. He came from that school. He Texas boy. We learned the basics here in Texas.
Absolutely. And Roland Curtis adds to that and says he was underrated on the microphone. Well, I think that when Taker is in Dead Man Undertaker, like it's not like he's setting the world on fire with some entertaining promo. It's mainly just, I'm gonna bury you alive, rest in peace, kind of stuff. But when he was the American Badass and Big Evil, he could cut a damn good promo. And he was the first guy to figure out how to beat the what chant, right? I think he said something like they were whatting him, whatting him, whatting him. And I think he said, if you kiss your sister, say what, or something like that. And everyone goes, what? And then they start laughing.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, man, you got to be quick wit out there when you're doing this, but it's part of the game.
Yeah, it's part of the game. The Undertaker. I don't. What's weird too is we normally by now would have heard like rumored names for the Hall of Fame by this point. We've
Yeah,
heard nothing. We didn't even hear the Undertaker was a rumor. That
yeah,
just dropped out of nowhere.
yeah,
Who,
definitely.
who,
Yeah,
who's ever in charge of the Hall of Fame committee this year is keeping it close to the
and it
vest.
seemed like they dropped it really early too. As far as the Undertaker.
Yeah, it's like what,
Yeah,
7 weeks out or something like that,
let's
or
get everybody hyped up. Let's get everybody ready. Get your
5 weeks
tickets
out.
right now. Get your popcorn. Get your cold drinks, and let's get ready to do this. Yeah, it's going to be a Hall of Fame night. I'm looking forward to it.
Can you dig it, sucker?